I mean, it's seemingly limited, isn't it? I'm getting a couple pictures that I recognize. Like this one's kind of iconic. The fist fighting in the first game. Do you remember? Do you remember the fist fighting and the really janky controls? Exactly, yeah, the really janky controls where you looked more drunk than like you were fighting, you know. And I was only young playing this game. I thought that's how you fight. So no wonder people used to laugh at me so much. Hey, Megan. No, no, you didn't miss anything. I'm really just starting. I'm still at the research phase. I don't really know what I'm doing, to be honest. I was given like 9 hours to do it and I didn't prepare. And I'm half drunk, so I don't know how this is going to go. This is probably going to be a complete disaster. Sorry, what do you mean? Oh, the title of the actual thing? Yeah. Well, Tavern at the End of the World. I thought it was just a nice name, and it's a title off one of the songs on the OST as well. So I just thought it had a nice ring to it. The OST, yeah, the original soundtrack, yeah, for the first game. The lovely soundtrack. I actually have it on my headphones at the moment, but you can't hear that because copyright. What we could do, I think, might be a better option would be, instead of actually focusing on trying to recreate one of the taverns in the game, why don't we just kind of find the best parts of several of them and kind of make our own? Or would you consider that cheating? I don't know. I mean, if you want that, I can do that, but see, there's some nice ones here. This was kind of more the merchant quarters, wasn't it? Further in the game. The iconic one, as far as I'm concerned, though, the iconic scene in the first game for me was like the outskirts in Visima. That's kind of where all the amazingly fantastic stuff happened. Like, I'll always remember first walking into that tavern there and talking to Kalkstein, the nutcase. I wouldn't mind doing that, but then again, you have the hairy bear as well. And I didn't want to call the session modeling the hairy bear, because people might think I'm just modeling a self-portrait of myself or something. Tavern at the End of the World does have a nice ring. Turns out it's actually an Irish bar as well. I think it's in Massachusetts, I'm not too sure. Yeah. Well, as an Irishman, I can tell you straight up, I have seen my fair share of Irish bars. I don't mind not going to one. I kind of feel like I've been to them all. Head on the Stick, that's quite a name. Welcome in. Yeah, let's just grab some reference. I don't really care at this point. I'm nearly 25 minutes behind. I haven't even opened Blender yet, so let's just run on that. We don't actually have the reference. It's so hard to find good images of those taverns. I think the only one that really kind of has any sort of a thumbnail to go by would be the Visima outskirts. Like, let me just check PureRef that I have here. Hang on. So this is everything that we've collected in the past 30 minutes, and it's not much. Mostly it's like barrels. We're going to need barrels. We're going to need some cloth material, the basic plaster walls, the wood. Okay, we can get most of that stuff. The chipped plaster with the wicker underneath, that might have to be a little creative kung fu to come up with something for that, but I'm sure we can get it. Characters we're not going to bother with. The outside as well, that could be something, wouldn't it? I mean, to take something like that, because it's such a beautiful design. I'd love to do the exterior for these buildings, actually. Maybe that's something that we could consider doing, something like that on one of the next streams, maybe. And if you remember the last one we done, actually, we had a lot of these materials already. So we're probably set up to go on something like that, but maybe that's for another day. For now, let's just do the interior. Basically, very straightforward stuff. We've got wooden planks for the floor, plastered walls. We have most of that stuff. We've got the damaged plaster walls there. Wood, that's all it is. These kind of medieval tavern designs, they're always very simple. but the more dank you can make them look, the better. You know. There's all sorts of shite on the wall, which is grand. We could probably like texture paint that on. The epic notice board. We have to do something like that, don't we? I mean, you can't do like Witcher inspired designs without having a notice board. And Carmen, I remember her. She was my first crush. What a lady. Some dank glass windows as well. We could do some maybe do some paintwork on a regular glass window. Probably throw some ambient occlusion map and mask out that kind of, make it look a little dirty. Great things you can do with ambient maps, so we can probably try that. And these guys, again, they're not Witcher related. There's some very, very nifty artists done these, but we're just going to take them as reference. That's all they are. Yeah, it's a lovely genre. Hang on a second, let me catch you up. How many hours have I got? It's 9 hours. So basically, I'm not going to sit here for 9 hours. I might take like 2 hours a day or something. I don't know. I'll see how it goes. I'm pretty energized at the moment, but you know, once kind of concentration starts, it's easy to get tired. So we'll see what happens. Yeah. Okay, so let's just go with what we have there. The materials I have. Okay, that's something I wanted to do. Hang on a second. I have a couple of these already, I think. I've got some stone. It's pretty... it's not great, but it's probably okay for what it is. Even on the reference though, there's not a lot of stone on the interior. It's mostly plaster, but we need red brick. I have some red brick textures downloaded. That kind of plastered effect, I think I'll just paint that on. Maybe I'll set up like a mix shader and a mask and I'll paint that kind of relief. Even like a concrete will probably do. Spatter it on that way. For wood, we need wood. Do we have wood? We do have wood, I believe. Believe in the process. We have a tiny little wood map with plenty of little knots in it, so that could work. Plaster. Do we have plaster? We do have plaster, actually. I think I just downloaded one of them. Also, I think I have reached my credit limit. Crap. Okay, I have no credits left to get more. So we're kind of stuck with a limited amount of textures we can use today, but again, I don't think I'm going to use up all my 9 hours today. I'll probably do a couple tomorrow, so that will refresh at midnight. So I'll do what I can with what I have today. I have plaster though. I think I do have plastered wall. Let me have a look through here. It's pretty grimy. Oh, would you look at that? Now, isn't that convenient? We have plaster with wood. So that's almost perfect for the likes of this. Alright, okay. Red brick, I think I have red brick in another folder, but I won't worry about that yet. I really want to get modeling because I'm kind of wasting time here. So let's just kind of go into Blender and mill. Oh, shite. Okay, let me think. We still need the over... I should not be doing this drunk. Yeah. No, Daniel, you didn't. You didn't. We're literally fighting about what we're going to do. Yeah, I did actually. I did see that. I don't really want to talk about that at the moment because people probably haven't seen it yet. So let's just catch up with that later. Yeah, I for one am hyped though. It's going to be good. And Blender, where are you? Here we are. Okay, empty scene. Empty scene, and I don't know what to do. Okay. Right. Let's make a new collection. Okay, I'm going to call this one Blockhead. I'm going to try to keep my hierarchy clean. It won't work. I do this every time. I start with the best intention and it doesn't work. So blockout is just going to be what I want to be a hideable layer, where all my... Well, it's basically a blockout. It's going to be the shape of everything. And then I'll take another collection and we'll detail the living crap out of it. So first things first, we want to get a reference in here. A human scale reference. So I'll quickly just make let's go to cube. Bring a cube in. I want to make sure snaps on, and I'll snap him up one. So by default, Blender's cubes are 2 meters, and we'll take the average human height at say 1.8. So let's go to Z here. We put in 1.8. No, that's not 8. 1.8. Sober up, man. Come on, Jesus. Turn off snap here. I'm going to take the centers and scale in, and probably I'm not too bothered about the width. The height is the only thing that matters here. Scale them in, so Geralt looks very funny. Let's go with that. Make him skinny on the bottom. And why not? Let's give Chip Geralt here. Let's give him a head. So we go to UV sphere. We make him bring it up to 1.8 again, and I'll scale him down. Here we go. There's our Witcher. High definition. So that's just exactly, yeah. Put the sword on his back. Okay, why not? Why am I letting you people sidetrack me? We're wasting time, but although this is funny. Right. Why am I doing this? This is literally 2 minutes that I could have been doing what I'm supposed to be. Of course it's your fault, Megan. Of course it's your... No. Look, this has just gone ridiculous, so... We'll take that as it is. There's the swords. They're pretty basic. But then again, Geralt's in a tavern. You know, he doesn't have to... What the hell? He doesn't have to defend himself against much. Unless it's Kalkstein trying to... I don't know. What was it he wanted him to do? He wanted to, like, God, I can't remember. He wanted to, like, research his body or something. And Geralt was like, no. Stop being weird. Okay, now, is that okay? Can you let... No. Can you let me do what I'm supposed to be doing now? Yeah, I mean, like, I'd be terrified of that. Okay, let me look at my reference. That's not my reference. Let me look at my reference. So, we need a layout, something like this. Yeah, see, I don't mind changing the design a little bit. But knowing me, I'll probably go on a tangent and I'll change it completely. But know that that's not my intention. I do want to try to stay as loyal to it as I can. Okay, so... Cube. And if that's Geralt, we would assume that the roof should probably be quite a bit up. Let's say door height would be... I don't know, see, you're talking about like medieval times, like the probably sizes were way different, I'd imagine. You know, yeah, we can be rough. We can be rough. Like, we're not doing this modular. Or are we? Are we? Would people rather that, or... Alright, well, we'll try it. Like, again, this is only a blockout layer, so... Does that look... God, I don't know. No, again, consult the reference. So there's the top of the door. I probably should have scribbled on the reference, shouldn't I? Like an estimation of where head height would be. Hang on a second. Let me just turn on the wireframe here. I'm overthinking it, haven't I? If I'm going to be doing this modularly, modularly, shut up. Alright, if I'm doing this modularly, yeah, I don't think I need to worry too much about a blockout then, because I'm just going to be doing it segment by segment and drawn from that point. Let me just kind of, I think I have a reference open here on Kryta. Let me just, okay, so if we have, let me make a layer. Yeah, okay, fair enough, I can't talk, shut up. Right, we've got our big scary Geralt here, okay? And I've already made him too big, okay? So if he's going to be scaled to the door, maybe something like that. So that's just before he goes in and kicks ass. So yeah, he's probably looking about that height. That's what I'm guessing it would be, okay? So then we have this setup, which is just a doorway. If we can then break this down on the reference, say, how many widths are we going to be using? So let's say another layer. I'll change my marker to green. Where's my brush? Okay, so we can say, let's say this is one segment that we have, okay? How many are we going to need? So we're going to say roughly here, that's the distance from this point to this point is probably another 1 and a bit, isn't it? I mean, I'm not very good at judging these, I think, but I'd say 1 and a bit. And then on this side, because this wing, or whatever you want to call it, this section of the building is kind of cutting off your view. Like the contour of this is kind of telling me that it's maybe 1, 2 and a bit here. So if I say 1 and a bit here, 2 and a bit here, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the 2 bits would make 5. So let's say 5 widths of these between this section and this section. So that will be enough for me to then get going, I think. So then, like we need to consider how many depth would there be between here, and this is kind of going up at an angle then as well. So that's another thing that we need to kind of consider. You know, like, is that... God, I can't even draw properly. What am I doing trying to model? Yeah, I'm overthinking it. I know I am. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to start getting the materials we have inside Blender and set them up, and then I'm just going to start by making a panel, and we'll do what we done in the last video, literally make a wall, and we'll make everything from that point. So never mind the sketch, okay, because I can't sketch. I don't know, my brain is literally unbrained today, so I'm gonna just go straight back to this. We actually have, how many materials have we got now? We have, let me get my reference in here. We have this one, this one, this one. We have 6 now. So if we want to take the approach and set up, yeah, let's set up an atlas, because these are 4K images, so they will grind Blender down on me. So I'm just gonna try set up. Yeah, let's set up. We'll go 4x4 texture atlases. So I want to keep the wall, the plaster, the plain brick. Which ones would it make sense to keep together? We probably don't really want this one here. This is going to be like the brick, interior brick of, you see here with the spattered plaster there. And this guy actually, yeah, we'll keep him. We're probably going to make our own textures anyway, so for the moment I'll bring him over. I'll put him on the same atlas with these. And this wood texture, I'm actually not that happy with it, to be honest. I want older battered wood, kind of like this. So I'll probably go back onto maybe Polyhaven and see if I can get a better wood texture. But I'm going to set these up into Atlas anyway. So I can nearly get 2 Atlases Atli out of these, okay? I just need to get 2 more textures that I think will work. So I'm going to look for... And we're going to focus on exterior or interior today. So, God, there's really just wood, isn't there? Wood. Oh, maybe we could try get a cloth for something like this, you know. Yeah, let's see what Polyhaven has. But I'll get them set up and I'll get them inside Blender. I know I don't like setting up Atlas myself, but it has to be done. I mean, if you try to get all these in, Blender will just give you the middle finger, and that's that. Like you're not going to be able to work with that much draw on your scene. So Atlas, unfortunately, is the way to go. So what do we want to do then? I have some materials in. I suppose we'll just make panels, will we? Like we did on the last video. We'll just take reference. Yeah, like we have this. We have that kind of well, we've got some. We might need a couple more, but we have the plastered brick. We have wood. So they're the materials I have to work with. All right, so let's go into Blender here, and I'll create a plane. Yeah, mesh plane. Okay. I'll rotate it arseways. No, let's rotate it arseways again. Come on. 90 degrees. There we go. I'll just move this up a little. So that's 2 by 2. I will divide it up because I know my texture atlases have 4 textures per atlas. Now I can take that, I'd give it Atlas 01. And there you go. Yep, that's fine. Let me look at the shader. I think actually it might be a little... This might be a little glossy. Let me separate these off actually first. I'll just take one and press P and separate each one of these out individually. I don't need to do that one. Alright. I'll find my roughness map here. Roughness, I know, it's a word. Hang on, what's that? Can you project textures from an atlas on a sphere? I mean, you can, yeah, it's all dependent on your UVs. Spheres won't give you great results if it's coming from a flat 2D image though. Regardless of what way you cut it up, you're always going to get seams. If you're dealing with spheres, your best bet would be to look into using procedural textures. Yeah, that's something I plan on covering a bit down the line. Well, a good bit down the line for the moment. I'm just going to focus on the easier stuff for people, but yeah, procedural textures doesn't really consider your UVs. It's kind of generated. Now, you need to have good UVs if you plan on baking procedural textures to a usable texture. Like procedural, if you're using procedural textures in Blender, it's only good for using inside Blender, if you understand. You can't make a procedural texture in Blender and export that into like Unreal or Unity and use it in an engine. They have to be baked maps. So it's a separate topic altogether. But yeah, if you're making something for a sphere, you're either gonna have to cut it up a little awkwardly. There's ways around it, but it's mostly just play with it. Like, take some chances and see what you get. But if you want to just hang on, we'll cover procedural texturing down the line a little. For the moment though, I'm just going to reduce the specularity of this one. So my roughness, I'll plug in a color ramp on this, and I want to judge this a little, bring the contrast closer. Yeah, that's a little better. So I want to displace this now, and by displace what I mean is basically this is just a flat image. This is just literally one polygon. If I add a displacement modifier in that, it uses the displacement map, which is if I bring in here my texture paint, if I select the map here, this is the height map actually. Height maps and displacement maps are pretty much the same thing. If you look at the dark areas on this map, like this is a good example here. We have like the contrast between if I show here, this is the kind of concrete. It's kind of hard to see it here. Yeah, this is like the concrete texture here. So on this map, the darker areas are more relieved outward, if you understand, like coming towards the camera. Sorry, I think I punched the microphone there, so it did definitely. They're coming towards the camera, if you get me, whereas the wider areas are more flat. They're more flat to the actual piece of geometry. Now, to set that up, what we could do is actually, it's best to describe it on this one here, I think, because it's it kind of covers, it has flat and it has those wooden parts which would relieve outwards. So I'll set it up on this. I will just take the piece and I will give it a where are we? Displace modifier right here. And you see nothing happened because it basically just, it added the modifier and it just displaced it that much. But like I said, because it's based on the level of geometry that the face has, it's only displacing each of those 4 vertices outwards to the strength given here. So it's given a, like, you know, the value of 1, so it's displacing those vertices outwards by 1. If I reduce this down, you can see the effect there. So what we want to do basically is increase the level of detail that's on this. Okay, so I'll give it a subdivision surface modifier. I'll just add subdiv, and you can see here on the bottom, it come in on the bottom, but we like this affects like the hierarchy, the layer hierarchy, the way Photoshop works. So first we want to apply the subdivision, and then we want to displace it. So what we can do is just drag it on these little dotted pieces here, just drag that up one. Yeah, of course, yeah. No, we'll keep it round, will we? Yeah, no, we don't want that. So that's on the modifier here. If we turn off cat wall and turn on simple, it doesn't smooth out the mesh as it subdivides it, so it keeps it nice and squared here. So we give this probably 3 levels, and again you can see nothing happened. But if I go into, or if I turn on wireframe, it's on. Okay, should be showing up there. Alright, well, it's not. Blender bin blender. I just want to give this a couple manual edges as well, so I'm going to press Ctrl R and I'll split it into 3 by 3. Okay, so now you can see the wireframe. So with that then, 3 by 3, it should be updating. I don't know, something's gone funky. Still nothing's happening. So we need to then bring in the texture that we want to use. So we know that this is using the, go to materials, it's Atlas 01, and because the height map, or in this case the displacement map, is part of Atlas 01, we need to specify that here in the texture properties slot. So that's asking you which texture do you want to use as a displacement. So we just need to tell this we'll use nothing because it's not here. Okay, so we need to make new. Still nothing. Okay. I used to be good at this software. Open. Let's try open. Materials 01. Here we go. Height. And that's not what we want either. Okay, so what we need to do in this case is, because it's kind of looking from a planar view, we might need to go back to where displacement modifier and turn this from local to UV. And there you go. Now you can see the resolution is still pretty horrendous. So if we just bring down the strand, make it somewhat more normalized, you see it's giving a slight bit of relief there. Let's give it a little more first. I'll bring it out, say this much, and now we need to increase that resolution further. So we go back to the subdivision modifier here, increase the viewport. Let's go 6. I don't think you can go further than 6. You can't. Okay, so what we can do is just tweak this around a little, give it a little more strength. And I want to shade smooth. So you can still... Fucking hell. So you can still see it's quite jagged. Yeah, it's going to be jagged because of the tessellation that the subdivision's given it. So what we need to do in that case would probably be just apply the subdivision. And now you can see, like, that's the resolution of the model. It's very, very high. I know, yeah. You're not going to use this as a game asset, but you know, there's ways around it. Like, we'll get there, don't worry. I'll just actually, to be honest, I'll add another subdivision again, and that will smooth that out then. You can see if I bring this back up here to the top, and I'll just come out of that. You can see that that's much smoother, but unfortunately it's a lot of polys. So now there's a resolution of it, okay? Could you imagine putting this into a game engine? Nah, we don't need it. What we can do in this case here, I'm just going to bring down that opacity of the wire. Bring it down to something like... You can still see it, but it's very faint. And I will... Will I apply the displacement, I wonder? Let's just try something here. I'm going to add a decimate. And I'll decimate on top of the displace. Now let's try underneath displace first. So we want it to first displace and then decimate. And what decimate does basically is it collapses the edges. So for every one of these polygons, it will just gradually collapse down and reduce the overall edge count of this piece. But the good thing about it is it doesn't destroy your UVs, so you don't actually get warped textures from it. So by that, what I can do is select it, and under decimate, I'll just under collapse, I'm just going to bring this slider that says ratio, I'll bring it down. And now my computer is going to start to burn. You might smell your graphics card melting, but don't worry, it'll eventually get there. Oh, fumes. Yeah, so you can see it's tessellating. It's just taking a long time. So you're going to want to come down to under 1. So what I put in is maybe 0.5. Just type it in and be done, and you'll see it. Now that chunked it down quite a bit. So 0.5, let's try 0.005. And there you go. That's much lower. And you can see we still have our relief. You know, it's a nice looking model, but it's much more low poly. Now, of course, once these polys are, or once this modifier is applied, there's not much tweaking you could do with that kind of geometry, so you're kind of stuck with it. So best thing to do would be kind of tweak this away until you can kind of find that, like, yeah, I could use that. To be honest, for what this is, I could probably even go lower, because again, it's a lot of flat area. So I'll take the 0.05, let's try 0.03. Again, that's not bad. It's probably even still too high. Let's try 0.01. Now, you can see we're losing quite a bit here. So I'm going to go back to tree. And what I could do is, if ever there's a situation where like something is hidden, let's say, because we're going to be using pretty dynamic lighting with this, if we ever want to reduce the poly count further, we could always just put another decimate modifier onto it. So it's actually, you know what, I'm going to go back to 5 here. And the reason for that is you can always decimate down further, but once you have applied your decimate modifier, you can't get that geometry back. You can always remove it, but you can't get it back. So for the sake of having one that I think is pretty decent resolution, and you get a nice contour with it, if we ever want to make a duplicate of this, we can just do okay, we can just do that, and with this I can just reduce down further again. So it's giving us options. So 0.002, say, you know, so we can always take away with decimate, but we can't add back to it. So it's best to just keep one that you think is maybe slightly higher poly than you need. And when it comes to optimizing, if you want to bring this into Unity, then you could probably crunch it down a bit lower. But again, not to sound like a broken record, you can't crunch upwards. You can only go down using a decimate, so be careful enough when you're using it. So we're going to basically do that with all the pieces that we bring in here. And I'll remove this guy for the moment. With him, I will apply. So I'll first apply displays. And now I'll apply my decimate. So that's now my model with the texture there. So I need to do that then with the rest of these, and then I can just kind of duplicate that out as I need, you know. Like we can make a couple copies of it, and you can even turn this into roof segments as well. Now I made a bit of a mistake here. Does anybody want to hazard a guess at what I've done wrong? Yes, actually. Nice one, Sarah. That is absolutely right. I did not make a backup before I applied the modifier. So, brownie points for you. That means I'm going to have to do the same again and try be more conscious of my issue this time. So mesh, plane. And I'll rotate them 90. Can't believe you got that. Someone's paying attention. Set origin back to geometry. Okay. Now I will what's that? Is there a cash prize? No, there's no cash prize. Sorry, Sarah. You're out of luck. I don't know why I separate all them. I don't need all them. Okay, so I want to apply the texture back to this. So this was texture or material 01. Okay. So the reason why that was an issue is because what I actually wanted to do was come in and start cutting this up further. So now, not to make that same mistake again, I'll take this one and I'll make a duplicate. This is the one I intend to cut, and I want to just cut out the centerpiece because it's actually quite a nice piece of you know, we could use this as a roof panel. Now there's a bit of an overlap here in the texture, but I'm not going to cry about that, to be honest. I'll go front view, turn off snap, and I'm just going to insert edge loops to cut this piece out. Alright, that'll do. Select that, Control I, invert, X, delete faces. Okay. So now I want to make it the same size as this front piece, because again, it has to tile, everything has to be squared. Now, that was a lot, but at least we know what lines up. So, with that, I'll just put my pivot back in the center. Geometry. And then we're going to do the same thing that we've basically done on this. We just need to add a displace modifier, which is here. Set the texture. Now we have it down here, do we? Yeah, texture there. Now we go back to displace and we change our coordinates to UV. And then we give it a subdivision. Move the subdivision up. Turn on simple. You can see it's trying to find that how to modify there. So I'll do the same with this. I want to give it 3 by 3. That was not 3 by 3. There we go. So now when I up the levels in the viewport, let's go right up to 6. And I'll just decrease the strength. Now, that's a pretty nice result for that. Again, this could be like a ceiling tile or something, you know, or you could just use it again as a panel for the wall. It's a bit jagged looking, so I'll apply the subdivision, and I'll actually give it another subdivision again. So subdivide, and apply. Now that really upped the gen there, so we'll take the same here. What was this one, I wonder? It was 0.002, I think. So with that, go to decimate, and the ratio was 0.002. Let that cook. Alright, that's not bad. Again, I want to keep one that's slightly higher res, just in case. So I'll leave that for now, and I'll just apply the decimate. Okay, so there's two pieces. Now again, like I said, you could actually use that if you wanted to use it as another. Ah, dang. Yeah. I brought it off as pivot point. So I'll eyeball it for now. Yeah, so that could be like the lower piece of wall there, you know. Like we could bring him outside and let's make a copy. And let's just then try turn this into a corner. Now I can go top down and line this up. Roughly will do fine. Okay, so we can see it's kind of swallowed there, so I'll need to bring him out a bit. Now, let's take that again. Let's see how it works as a roof piece, a ceiling. 90, and now I'll just move him into place. Low. Yeah, snap has to come off for this. Yeah, see, as opposed to like the way I normally do, you know, like my tutorial series on the modular building, this is more, you wouldn't get away with this on a lot of things, but this works, and it's quite enjoyable to do it as well. But like as far as like creating a scene, you know, like an interior scene goes, it's a lot of fun, but you can't line things up the corners the way you can with the other approach, you know. But no, it's good. It's fun. Let's just throw a little bit of lighting into it and see how it looks. Turn this 2 cycles and turn off that denoise. Now add a light. I know. Yes, we still haven't really done that much. Like I'm just going off on a tangent showing you these things. No, I know you appreciate it. It's just you know, I get sidetracked a lot. But it is fun, isn't it? Like, I mean, like look at the result you get from it. And that's only using one of the textures, you know. Like once we kind of start putting the floor into it and all, and really modifying it, like the results kind of pop, and it's a pretty simple way to do it too. It's not very difficult. Now the thing about it is, you can already see here, like it's repeating like a lot, you know. So let's just kind of rotate this 90 to slightly try to break that up. Yeah, we can do that in the next one. I'll be adding much more into it, so like we can see how it all comes together. But again, remember, I got 9 hours to do this, so I'm not really going to rush that. Like once I kind of have the materials in and set up, you'll be amazed at how fast everything else kind of starts to come together then, you know. But like that's, in essence, that's kind of how that approach is done. And then you can, of course, you just need to make sure that you're breaking off and creating other pieces of material to hide those kind of, like, there will be seams with this approach. There's always, like, there'll be cracks in the mesh where you can see like it's kind of hard to see it here, but you see like there's gaps coming in. That's where you get another piece, maybe like another wooden piece that you'd run across here and cover those gaps. And then if we were bringing this into Marmoset too for like a render or something, you just need to basically be cautious of that, because light will bleed in through those creases, you know. But that actually works quite well as a ceiling piece. But again, now like you can see that repeating pattern is kind of painful. So you just kind of like, even rotating it isn't going to do much. There's a seam there we'd need to fix, so we'd be coming along there and fixing that with another piece, you know. Just try to keep as much light bleed out as possible. Yeah, so that's working out. Let me just kind of go back on track here. I'll remove them. This I will keep. This is the copy, isn't it? It is. Alright, so I can remove these two. So I have this guy and this guy. And just to kind of get them both reset, I'm going to select them both, press Alt-G, send them to the center of the world, and I'll just select one and space him back out. Because I know they're both squared, so sending them back to the world center will kind of line them back up. And there we can see that issue. So we need to be mindful of these. Make sure that we kind of fill them in with more geometry. But again, we're going to be going through this, you know, very, very carefully and make sure that everything's kind of covered up. So let's just quickly do the rest here. We get them all kind of displaced like the rest here. And we'll start putting them all together then. So for this one, I'll do the same, make a copy. And these two. Right. So we'll work on these. This one first, I will give it displace modifier and subdivision. Now I'll turn off cat mold, go to simple, bring him to the front. Now I need to give him some extra edges, so give him 3 by 3 and give him 6 levels. So now we'll select this and the texture, give him texture 1, back to the displace modifier, change coordinates to UV, and then I'll adjust this down. So bring it way down. Again, this can be a little bit of playing. You know, you can kind of go a bit extreme if you want. Like, how's it going to look when the light hits it is really the question. But again, like I said, I'm not really too focused on games for this one, so I might kind of keep it at that. Yeah, I really like the lumpy effect. I think it's going to add a lot into like the witchery style. So I'll take that, I'll apply the subdivision, and I'll turn on shade smooth. Does this thing need a further subdivision? I don't think it does actually. I'll give it one. Why not? And apply. Oh, okay, yeah, that's much better. It really sharpened up that edge there. Okay. Ah, shite! No, sorry, I forgot. I thought I forgot something I didn't. It's grand. It's grand, don't panic. Okay, so now we just need to no, I did forget something, did I? No, I have a copy. Okay, I have a copy. Calm down, people. Right. Sorry, frightened the life out of you. You know, I'm just goofing. I'm forgetting what I'm doing. What am I doing? A decimate. There we go. Okay. So displace can actually be applied. With decimate, I want to put the ratio down. Let's try 0.003. Okay. That looks pretty okay. There's no crazy texture. Well, there's a little here, but again, like that's a big gaping hole in the wall. We're gonna have a bit of stretch in there, unfortunately. But overall, that's not bad. It's got a nice bit of lumpiness to it. Yeah, I'm gonna keep that straight up. That doesn't really need to be altered at all. Decimate, I'll just apply that. And now I can add him to the collection. And then we'll just quickly do the same on this. So modifier, we'll give him displays, subdivide, turn off Catmull, and then we'll give him some geometry. So 3 by 3. Now in texture, apply texture 1. In the modifier, turn coordinates to UV. And in levels on viewport, we'll just up this to 6. Now let's just bring the strength down. Okay, this you kind of need to be a little careful about because you don't want huge holes here, I don't think. It'll kind of make it stand out a little bit too much. Like very... That will really elevate how easy it is to detect it as a repeating texture, so... Let's go with that. Let's go with 0.3. Okay, so apply subdivide. Let's subdivide one more. Turn simple and apply. Now we can apply displays. And we will get decimate. I'll put this down to 0.003 again. Alright, that's not the worst one. It looks okay. We'll move him over, and now our last piece here. It is just the first of the Atlas pieces, like we're going to be getting much more material in. Even looking at that again, I'm not too happy with it. I want to have, if we look at the reference, especially behind the elf lady, they're quite huge. You know, they're much larger in the wall than these skinny little gits here. So I'm probably going to make my own. I'm going to project my own textures as well, because we have plaster, we have brick, we have wood, so we can just kind of compile our own and project textures from them. So that'll be a little later down the line. For this, I'll just do the same. Displays, subdivide, simple, give it 6 levels. Now I'll give it some geometry. Now in texture, we'll add texture 1 and then change the UV to, or the coordinates to UV. Now, bring the strength. Oh, that's quite nice, isn't it? That's very stony looking. Now, this is more so going to be for like the outside, you know, for like boulders and things like that, but it's alright, we can keep that. I just want to bring the mid-level down a bit actually. I'm not too fond of the way that's protruding from the top there. So let's go in reverse. Okay, I'll just take that. Apply. I will, it's kind of tessellated. I will need to smooth it, and I'll give it another subdiv. Yeah, subdivision. Yeah, shut up. That's fine. Okay. Apply that. Am I happy with the displacement? I am. So I'll apply that. And now we will decimate. 0.003. Yeah, 0.003 seems to kind of work well on all of them. So that's kind of our go-to number, I think. So we have our backups. We have the modified ones. I'll just reset all these, Alt G, and now I can pull these aside and I'll line them up on the grid. Okay, so we have 5 panels. That's not bad. Oh, okay, yeah, I need to apply that decimate. Or any of these. Yeah, this one here. Okay, so we've plaster, we have stone, we have brick, we have whatever you want to call that, plaster roofing thing, and we have plaster and wood. Okay. So let's just kind of start making some segments, some wall pieces out of this, and then we'll just keep shopping around for more materials as we need. Let's just follow the reference though, you know, like we can start kind of making this area. Again, like it's hard to find reference about what the inside is actually like, so I might need to at some point jump into the game and get some screen grabs or something. But yeah, fun times. Yeah, I know. I'll probably put the video on YouTube anyway, so if you need to re-look back on things, you know, there's going to be a record of it there. I know it's a lot of information in one go, so don't feel like you kind of have to, you know, this isn't going to be the first time you see it. And I'm going to be repeating this process for like 9 hours or so. By the end of it, you might be sick of me doing it. But yeah, no, just kind of follow along at your own pace. Oh, by the way, you can also email me and you do as well if you want me to kind of look at it and give you some pointers too, so. Yeah, exactly. Don't worry about anything like that. Okay, so let's just keep going with this. I wonder how that looks with the lighting, actually. Switch to lighting. Looks dank. All right, it's going to look pretty terrible until we get some some form to it. All right. Okay. Well, we know where we're going from here.